on a bicycle in the streets of London by Susan, Countess of Malmesbury. A new sport has lately been devised by the drivers of hansom cabs. It consists of chasing the lady who rides her bicycle in the streets of the metropolis. Having now been the prey of the hansom cabman for nearly a year, and having given him several exciting runs, I cannot help feeling that cycling in the streets would be nicer, to use a mild expression, if he'd not try to kill me. Riding on the track began to bore me as soon as I had learned to balance, but I remained steadily practicing until I could turn easily, cut figures of 8, get on and off quickly on either side, and stop without charging into unwelcome obstacles. This done, burning to try my fate in traffic, and yet as nervous as a hare that feels the greyhound's breath, I launched my little bicycle early one Sunday morning in July into the stormy oceans of Sloane Street, on my way to visit a sick friend who lived about 4 miles off. The streets were really very clear, but I shall never forget my terror. I arrived in about 2 hours, streaming and exhausted, much more in need of assistance than the invalid I went to visit. Coming home it was just as bad. I reached my house about 3 o'clock, and went straight to bed, where I had my lunch, in a state bordering on collapse. I only recount this adventure, in order to encourage others who may have had the same experience as myself, but who may not have tried to conquer their nervousness. What cured my fear was the purchase of a little book called Guide to Cycling, where it is written that I had an actual legal existence on the roadway. Yes, I had as good a right to my life as even my arch enemy the hansom. Cautious and alert, I merrily proceeded on my way, using my bicycle as a means of doing my morning shopping or other business. I found that my experience in driving an exceedingly naughty pony and cart in town stood me here in very good stead, my eye being well educated to pace and distance. Drivers of hansoms have various ways of inflicting torture on a fellow creature, one of which is suddenly and loudly to shout out "Hi!" when they have ample room to pass, or when you are only occupying your lawful position in a string of vehicles. Also, they love to share your handle bars and wheels, passing so close that, if you swerve in the slightest, it must bring you to serious grief. They are also fond of cutting in just in front of you, or deliberately checking you at a crossroads, well knowing that by so doing they risk your life. I myself always ride peaceably about 7 or 8 miles an hour, and keep a good look out some way ahead, as by that means you can often slip through a tight place, or avoid being made into a sandwich composed of a pedestrian who will not, and an omnibus which cannot stop. Many a time, when I first began to ride in traffic, have I meekly escorted an omnibus in a crowded street, thankful for the shelter it afforded from the wild and skirmishing jungle round me, and feeling like what I may perhaps describe as a dolphin playing round an ocean liner. Many acts of kindness have I received at a difficult crossroads from hard-worked men, to whom pulling up their horses must have been a serious inconvenience. Indeed, on one occasion, I might have been killed, but for the consideration of a driver. I found myself wedged in between an omnibus and a large cart. They had both been standing, and at the moment of my appearance each pulled out from the curb in a slanting direction. I was thus fairly caught in a trap, but, not having time to faint, or go into hysterics, I thought it best to catch the nearest omnibus horse by the harness, and try to stop him. My life was safe, It is true, but what is life, if your new white gloves are ruined?